We have a lot of things to work on in our state, but if I could work on one thing, it would be to teach our kids to read. Do you know that in Louisiana, over half of our second and third graders are not reading on grade level? And if you got one of these books in your mailbox recently, you learned that only 26% of fourth grade students in our state can actually read this book proficiently. Y'all, this is not a hard book to read. And our fourth graders, only 25% of them are able to read this proficiently. So what are we going to do about it? Well, there are a number of things that we collectively have been working on, and you all have this handout at your desk. These are all the things that we have been doing to help stand up public education and literacy in our state, and it's phenomenal. Many of this was through legislation last year. Some of this was through initiatives the Department of Education has taken to task. But we can do more. And so, because if you're a parent of a second or third grade student who is not reading on grade level, time is of the essence. You can't wait for all of these programs to work and to kick in. You know that if your child is not reading but before they get to the fourth grade, they are destined for a lifetime of challenges. And so what this bill does, Senate Bill 203, is it allows you to take the state dollars that would be dedicated to your child's education, their MFP dollars, and take that money and allow your child to go to a private school or a homeschool. It's an ESA account. We've talked about this education savings account for children who are not reading on grade level in second and third grade. Those children will have to take tests, accountability tests, so we'll know whether this new school environment is working or not. Those providers that are providing that education will also be evaluated as to whether or not they're really performing and doing a good job. If they're not, they're taken off the approved list. And so I think, again, for those students that are currently in our system that need to be reading, this is a very positive step in the right direction. I see some questions. I'm happy to take them at any time.
Question, Senator Smith.
With these savings accounts, I mean, all of our kids need to be able to read. I'm totally 100% with you on that. But these savings accounts, how's it going to be funded? Can you tell me how the funding goes?
Yeah, these are they would be MFP dollars. So, as you know, MFP dollars they follow the child. So, currently public schools get MFP dollars based on their head count. A parent would, I think, operationally would decide in the spring that they want to move their child into a different learning environment for the upcoming fall semester. So they would apply and make sure that they meet the criteria and then could move that child into a private or a homeschool environment. I picture that the state then is keeping sort of an account for all of those students and those families. It is what the average MFP is. So, for example, right now it's around $5,500. As you know, the MFP that goes to different school districts actually varies depending on the school district and the local dollars that they have. The local dollars in this bill, they stay in the school district. Those are dollars that those taxpayers in that parish have voted to pay for education in that parish. So this is only the state dollars. And they would submit expenses. Those parents would. It's not like the money really comes to them. So you're not going to put it in the Gary savings account. You would have to submit expenses for either that private school or approved homeschool expenses, like for textbooks and things like that. And you would submit those, and you would get reimbursed up to whatever that average MFP amount is that year.
Okay, thank you. So So the local portion of our tax dollars per child would stay in the local, let's call it St. Charles Parish, for instance, would stay there. But if that student or child who lived in St. Charles Parish went to a Jefferson Parish school attended a Jefferson Parish school under this program, then the state's portion of those MFP dollars would go to Jefferson Parish instead of St. Charles Parish.
Yes, with the exception that if they could only go in Jefferson Parish to a private school or a homeschool provider, not to a Jefferson Parish public school. So this is not allowing students to move from one public school to another. They stay in their geographic district and whatever the rules are with that school board. But the local dollars are always going to stay in the local school district because taxpayers, are paying that regardless of how many children are there. That's what we're all paying for education in our parish. This is just the average state MFP dollars that would follow the child.
Okay. And with the homeschool portion, so it's the first time that I'm aware of that we're going to allow parents who homeschool their children to then submit expenses to be reimbursed. I mean, who is going to audit or to keep up with those expenses to make sure that that was actual expenses that was spent on the education of the child and it wasn't inflated, wasn't, erroneously reported, something like that? These ESA programs, I say these programs because there are some other legislative instruments that are looking at other ESA programs that focus on things different than literacy. But the bills all say the same thing, and that is that they would hire an administrator to oversee the program, and they're going to use up to 5% of the MFP dollars, which is kind of typical to administer the program. And the department would actually hire 2 people to kind of help manage all of that. So there will be, I think, some checks and balances, and there are people and there will be processes in place by which those expenses are approved. Okay, so there'll be some checks and balances, so there'll be a private fund that'll get some of the money that'll basically audit those funds, and then on top of that, the department is going to hire 2 individuals to watch over that. So a decent little clip of expenses then right there, cut out of it. Okay, well, that helps me with some of the understanding of where the funds are splitting up and coming with. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
Okay, Senator Hewitt, you have a right to close on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, am the product of public schools. Stan and I raised our children in public schools and had an option of private schools in our school district, but I thought the public schools in St. Tammany Parish were better. My mother was a 4th grade public school teacher. We believe in public schools. I'm working to improve public schools. But the public schools aren't working for everybody. And so sometimes you have to come up with something different. These are taxpayers we're all taxpayers. These children that aren't reading are taxpayers that deserve a choice and deserve an option to do something different. And quite honestly, some of the kids that are going to benefit the most are some of the underprivileged kids that don't financially have the ability to have other options. This is going to give them an opportunity to do something different and not be trapped in a school in their neighborhood that isn't working for them. This is something different. Because what we're doing right now, y'all, isn't working. So why can't we do everything? Let's build on these programs. Let's give some of those kids that are currently in that zone when they should be reading an option to go someplace else that works better for them so they can read. And if those parents want to bring them back into the public school system, they can, and I hope they do. But for those kids that need help right now today, we have to do something. We just can't keep doing the same thing and hoping it gets better. And so I'm going to ask you to stand with me and stand with those kids that need our help today, and let's move Senate Bill 5203 to final passage.
Senator Hewitt has moved final passage of Senate Bill 203. When the machines are open, all those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. Secretary will open the machines. Senator McMath, yes. Senator Womack, yes. Get through voting. Close the machines. 24 yeas and 13 nays, and the bill is finally passed. Senator Hewitt moves to reconsider the vote by which the bill passed and lay that motion on the table without objection to order.